Thanks to the support as a channel member, Rob Harley. Well, this is the day we've been waiting for a year and a half. We finally get our big away game in the FA Cup. Let's go make some money. Hello and welcome to part 16 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have that big FA Cup 4th round tie away against Wolves. We also play Boreham in the league. Since you were last with me, we've had our typical pre-big game wobble, as you can see. After winning, we had a draw, then we got knocked out of the FA Trophy, then we also lost to York. Because we had lots of points accumulated, we are still 7 points clear at the top of the league, but Woking do have a game in hand behind us, and if we don't sort out this little bit of a wobble, things could go wrong. But I did predict the wobble, and I also predict we'll bounce back to unwobbly status as soon as we've been knocked out of the FA Cup by Wolves. You can see as well, Adam Berry is now joint top scorer in the National League from midfield. What a signing he is turning out to be. Also one of the best players in the league. I mean, realistically, he's got a year and a half left on his contract. I know it's very difficult to get a decent transfer fee for a National League player, but this, as a 19-year-old kid, that feels like at least a £500,000 player to me, but I don't know that Football Manager will see it that way. We do have a slight problem with this FA Cup game. It's not going to be quite as good as I thought it was because two reasons. One, Wolves have been relegated. They're in the Championship, which automatically means their attendances are a little bit lower. And I have had a look at their previous round where they were at home to Charlton. Charlton off of League One in the third round of the FA Cup. They only got 16,000 people turn up. Obviously, we're non-league. There's the possibility this could be as low as like 10,000 people here, in which case we're not going to make anywhere near as much money as I hoped. I hope that's not the case. We are hoping for a big payday. It might not be quite as big as I thought it would be, though. But we're going in with £421,000 in the bank. Let's see how much money we've got once this match is done. We have been trying to bring in some new players because obviously we had all our loans go back and we now can't bring any new loans in. Unfortunately, we've not been able to. So the bench is going to be full of young players today. So there's a few. Rob Harley, obviously, we're already familiar with from the back end of last season, but there's a few other youngsters filling up this bench today whose names you're probably less familiar with, and we might even see some of them come on today because let's face it, we're going here to get a spanking. What we don't want to do is risk anyone picking up any kind of injury. So it's Rose in goal, a back for Paul, Idahen, Kingdon and Sears, Brooke and Antwi in midfield, Akamrich, Berry and Domenge behind Evans up front. Score predictions in the comments section, boys and girls. How much are we going to lose by today? It's probably going to be quite a few. I would predict, I mean, bearing in mind this is a Wolves team who are top of the Championship and in great form compared to us, who, yes, we're top of the National League, but we have hit a little bit of a wobble of form. They've got Oliver Skipp in midfield, who this time last year on FM24 was going to Real Madrid for £50 million at the start of everybody's save. So this is the level we're coming up against here. So I suspect, at least a 6-0. If we can get a goal today, that'd be super. But I think we are here to get absolutely smashed about the place. And unfortunately, looking at the attendance, looking at the player, looking at the fans, the number of people, I've been distracted by the fact we've given away a penalty. There's not many people here, is what I'm getting at. And we've already conceded a goal. It should say the attendance on the match stats, actually, shouldn't it? So we see how many people have turned up. If it's less than 15,000, I'm going to be pretty upset because I was very excited when we got what I thought was a Premier League team. And it is, okay, 17,700. It's not as bad as it could have been. I feel like there's not a lot of Tamworth fans who've turned up, which is a little bit of a shame. This is what annoys me about Football Manager sometimes, because there is no way Rose does this in a league game. So just because we're playing against a team from 3 divisions higher shouldn't make him a bad goalkeeper. And I get it's the limitations of the match engine, but in that situation, just have him not get there. Have the Wolves player just score. Don't have him catch the ball and then carry it over his goal line, because he's not going to do that. He's not suddenly a man who doesn't know how to be a goalkeeper just because we're playing against a Championship team. It's very frustrating. It's this, to me, it's the same as giving away the penalties against the big teams, which we've already done in this game as well, by the way. I assume we're going to complete the trifecta and get a red card at some point as well. You don't need to beat me with penalties, goalkeeper mistakes, and red cards. Just have the better team outplay us on the pitch. That was a good example of it. Just do more goals like that. They completely outplayed us like they're supposed to, and that's fine. But those first two, it just feels unnecessary. Do it in the match engine. Don't do it with gimmicks. Ooh, it makes me cross. It's been this way forever as well. This isn't an FM24 specific thing. This is, like I say, the limitations of the match engine they've got at the moment. Hopefully, it's one of those things that can be fixed with the new match engine that's coming for FM25, because I'd like to think it would be easier to have a team actually just outplay an opponent in the match engine without having to resort to crutches like red cards, like penalties. And I know some of you are going to say, because I've had this rant before, I know some of you are going to say, yes, but Kev, when you're playing against a team that's much better than you, you are more likely to give away penalties and red cards because you can't get to the player properly. You're going to foul them. Yeah, okay, fair enough. That's fine. Show me the statistics, though, where every time you play against a better team, you give away a penalty and get a player sent off, because I don't believe they exist. Ooh. We're 3-0 down as we approach half-time, which actually, you know what? He's fine. It's a little bit frustrating how the first two happened, especially the Rose own goal, because it's just so unrealistic. But being 3-0 down at halftime, we take that. We've actually not been completely out of it. Wolves only had 4 shots on target. Their XG is only considerably higher than ours because they got the penalty. Otherwise, we'd actually be fairly even with them on XG. We're not being completely outplayed, he says, sat there looking at 28% possession, but we've won matches from 28% possession before. This is a worry because they've forced that silly own goal onto Rose. He's now doing a 5.8, and that could ruin his confidence. Now, I could take him off here and bring on Van Kooten, who's still only 17 years old. That seems like a bad idea. So we leave Rose on, and he just having a poor game. Make him have a poor game, then. Don't make him carry it over his own goal line. Rah! Right, Shakuna's going to come on, and we're also going to bring on Jack Leahy. And for my final trick for now, we're going to bring on Rob Harley, and we're going to drop Shakuna back here because there are rumours that he should be able to do it. His best position in central midfield is as a ball-winning midfielder. Now, obviously, he's playing defensive midfield here, but the skill set shouldn't be that different. So let's see if we can extend the life of Nathan Shakuna by turning him into the new Ellis Deeney replacement, because I've set Deeney to set for release for the summer. He is going to be moving on. He's going to be 33. We don't need Ellis Deeney knocking around anymore, but obviously he has played a lot of football this year. Shakuna is never going to get in as an attacking midfielder ahead of Berry. Rob Harley's coming through, obviously, as well. So maybe Shakuna needs to reinvent himself as a defensive midfielder. Right, I'm not going to bring on Clayton because he's still recovering from injury. We are now at the point where we're going to have to bring on some kids. In fact, Kyle Finn can come on. He's done enough over the last couple of years to deserve a run out against Wolves. And then we'll just bring on one of the kids to play right back. I guess there you go. Junior Mazibuko can play right back. He's never going to be good enough to play for us. He's only 16. And this is probably his one game of professional football he'll ever play. But he'll be able to dine out on this for the rest of his life, saying that one game of professional football was at Molyneux in an FA Cup 4th round game. And now Antwi is injured, which just seems to be the theme with Antwi. He's injured all the time. Shakuna is going to be the midfield on his own. Push him a little bit further forward. Get him in his actual central midfield that he can supposedly do. There you go. Nathan Shakuna is the midfield. And you know what? It's the 87th minute and we're still only 3-0 down. We've actually done really well today. We've not embarrassed ourselves. Apparently Sam Paul has also had a bit of a nightmare game. Rose has managed to recover to a 6 in this second half, which actually is probably quite important when it comes to his long-term morale and bouncing back in the next match. But we've come here, we've been beaten. Most importantly, though, £421,000 in the bank before the match. So we've made another couple of £100,000. I think on that FA Cup run as a whole, we've made about £500,000 again, which is very welcome money, because what it means is we're not going to plunge into debt over the course of the season, which we would have done otherwise. I mean, that literally is the difference between us being in debt or not. That £500,000 we made from that cup run. So big thumbs up to the cup run. Antwi's going to be out for a month now. We are really, really running out of players, especially because Brooke now needs a rest as well. We don't have a midfield for this next match currently, which is 3 days away. I don't know that we're necessarily going to bounce back with a win here. And it looks like we're going to have to try this Shakuna experiment sooner than anticipated, because with Antwi injured and Brooke now going on a little holiday to rest his tired little legs, and we are going with Deeney and Shakuna together in central midfield today. It'll be fine, right? We do have Kakuri returning as well, so our back four looking very different. Clayton first came back from his injury, although he can only do 75 minutes. So it's Clayton, Idahen, Kakuri, and Kingdon at right back today. Deeney and Shakuna in midfield. And then the usual front four. Attacking-wise, we're all right at the moment. Please don't get any injuries in the attack. The defence in the midfield, we are very much down to the bare bones. We've got 2 right backs on the bench, though, so we're fine if we need a right back. Are we not? I feel like we missed a screen there. Did we miss a screen there? I don't know what's going on anymore. Can we just win this football match, please? Boreham Wood down in mid-table. We've obviously not won in 4 matches now in all competitions, although one of them was the FA Trophy, and obviously one of the other ones was the Wolves game. So it's only 2 league games, but we've got all the cup stuff out of the way now. It's just league for the rest of the season now. We've sorted out the money issues for the year as well. So the job now is just getting promoted. I think with the start that we've had and how far ahead we were in the league at one point, we've got to be thinking in terms of promotion to the Football League, which means it's not ideal when the first highlight of the match leads to us to conceding a goal. I wonder if we maybe need to find I was going to say find a way to bring some players in. There really is no way. We're over our wage budget already. We've used up our loans for the season. That was a huge mistake, only bringing people in on 6-month loans and using all our long-term loans up. That was just I want to say a rookie error. I've been playing the game nearly 30 years. It was just, I wasn't paying enough attention to notice that it would weirdly defaulted to 6 months rather than a year. They always default to a year usually. I don't know why they all decided to default to 6 months, but it's caused us a huge problem now. Nathan Shakuna is being played out of position. Thanks for the feedback. We've just been talking about that. We have no one else who can play there. The only other option would have been sticking one of the right backs in there. We've got 2 right backs and 2 wingers on the bench, along with our 17-year-old goalkeeper. We're not, overwhelmed with, oh, for goodness sake. Well, that's just about the worst thing that could have happened. Kyle Finn is going to come in and play there. He did it a few times last year. The other option would be to put a Camrich up front with Evans and stick Finn on the wing. But I think for now we give Finn the opportunity to... And Shakuna's looking at him, staring daggers at him because Shakuna wants to play in that role, obviously. So we've now got a couple of players not really in their correct position, but we do now have Kyle Finn's set-piece delivery back on the pitch, which is probably an advantage. I'm not even going to question how we won a penalty there. We took a corner, missed, and then all of a sudden we've got a penalty. So it's 1-1. I don't need to know why or how. It's 1-1. We got a penalty. I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comments section what it said at the bottom of the screen. Whatever happened, I certainly didn't see play out in the match engine. But yay for us. We're not losing anymore. And let's try and do some more football, I guess. Hopefully that can be a little turning point for us. It's not a turning point, is it? It's, yeah, okay. We've what do we do? Things have gone so well for so long, but we have just run out of money and run out of players. That's a big deflection to beat Rose as well, which is frustrating. I guess we start the excuses rolling early and remind everyone that we were supposed to just be battling relegation this year. So if we end up bottling first place, getting into playoffs, bottling them, even finishing mid-table because it all collapses from here, that's all fine and is still a good season in the circumstances because we've only got 16 players. and they're starting to accumulate injuries. They're starting to get tired because I can't rotate them. I know there'll be people saying, Kev, why are you sending your players on holiday? Just rotate them. I can't rotate them. I have nobody to rotate them with. I'm rotating my back four loads because I've got plenty of players back there. But we've still had to send Curry and Brown on holidays because this is the downside of having a bunch of kids in the team. The 17, 18, 19-year-olds, if you play them week in, week out, they will break. You do have to use them a little bit more sparingly than I have been. And it was all going so well. I mean, it is 2-2, so we are still capable of scoring goals, even though we've lost Berry potentially for a long time, because going off in the first half, instant red injury with a foot injury, I mean, that could be a season ender, which would be horrific if it is, because he's been our best player all year. I mean, it would be handy for Shakuna. He wouldn't have to train to play as a ball-winning midfielder anymore because he'd be back in the team in that role. Although, to be fair, Kyle Finn has come on and he's having a storming game playing there today and he's the best player on the pitch. So maybe it wouldn't be automatic for Shakuna to come back in. Some of our boys from last year are starting to re-emerge. It's lovely. I did try and bring Aquay back from his loan, but I didn't put the ability to recall on his loan. So unfortunately, despite the fact we could really use him, he's stuck out on loan for the rest of the season. Although really, Jack Leahy is first team quality and is struggling to get in the team at the moment as a winger. It's an area where it's probably the only area of the team where we've got a lot of players. So even if we brought Aquay back, he'd just be to sit on the bench. So it's not a huge problem. But Finn and Shakuna seem to have settled in quite nicely to these new roles they're being asked to play. Clayton, remember, we need to take Clayton off by 70, 75 minutes. We don't want to re-injure him. He's been out for a little while and this is his first game back. But Finn, with the outswinger now from this left-hand side, looking for the near post where Kingdon was lurking. But he makes connection with it, but it wasn't very convincing, was it? It didn't look like it was ever going to end up in the back of the net. Ball played forward again. This time it's Evans who comes away with it. Falls to Curry. Don't really want our centre-back shooting from there, but he plays a lovely ball in for Demenge, who really should be doing better with that. That should be a goal. And I'm a little bit frustrated that he's missed so wildly. We are so far ahead on XG today. It's upsetting. It's annoying that we're not winning this football match. Let's offer some encouragement. We do need to be taking Clayton off. Clayton is tiring. He's going to come off now. We can bring on. We'll bring on Sam Paul to play left back, which he was doing. He was deputising for Clayton the whole time he was injured, so he's fine slotting in there. And then we'll leave it a little bit longer for the final change because I don't want to tempt fate into another injury by making all my substitutions before the 70th minute. Kingdon, with the throw, finds Finn, who is everywhere. Kyle Finn is loving the freedom of playing in this attacking midfield role. Shakuna now playing it all the way back to Rose, and now it's back with Curry again, who turns, looking at options ahead of him, gives it to Deeney, and now it's Idehen and Curry again. And we're knocking the ball around very nicely. Shakuna back to Curry. We're getting our pass completion percentage up here, which is nice to see, I guess. It's weird that the game sees it as a highlight, but maybe we're about to score a wonder goal. A Camrich has got in behind here, plays it into the path of Evans, and you would have put money on Evans scoring there. That was a big chance for a man who scores as often as he does. But unfortunately, straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. Demenge and a Camrich, both ready. I mean, and Kingdon, there's lots of players tiring here. We'll take off Demenge, bring on Leahy. We can swap a Camrich back over onto the right-hand side, which is where he's been at his best this season, although he doesn't have Clayton there to cross to him today because he's already come off. But Paul is going to do a corner, an in-swinger to the near post, comes straight back to him, and he's going to try and stick it back in again, I think. Finn turns on the edge there. He gives it back to Deeney, Curry, Deeney, and now out to Paul again. We really are camped out on the edge of their area. We're ready to do a goal. But end product just keeps letting us down. Finn there, he just kind of lost control of the ball when it looked like we were going to be building something. We're not on extended highlights here, are we? This is a very strange match. No, key highlights. Very odd what's going on here. Leahy turns and just has the ball taken off him. Every time it looks like we're going to do something, it just kind of breaks down. I think it's just emphasising the general fatigue that we've got in the squad at the moment. We've played a lot of matches with a very small squad. Players are starting to break. Players are starting to get tired. it is going to be a problem in this second half of the season. Not that you would know it from our match stats today. That is an incredible amount of domination. 25 shots, 13 of them on target. A 4 for our XG. I feel a little bit hard done by that we've not come away with a win there today. But let's take the bad news and see how long we've got to be without Adam Berry. The fact we've got the second message is a worry. Adam Berry, okay, 2 to 3 weeks with pulled ankle ligaments. It could have been much, much worse than that. We can probably make do, but it's not ideal. And now, like I say, we've got a whole lot of league matches now between now and the end of the season. We're down to only a 5-point gap between us and Woking, and they've got a game in hand. We play Woking in a month. That feels like that's going to be quite an important match, which has a very good chance of being in the next episode. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.